You're listening to the Alex Jones Broadcasting Network.
All right, we're live into hour number 4. It's your chance to ask any questions of Dr. Steve Pieczenik. Dr. Pieczenik's happy to answer any of your questions. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. We've been covering a wide spectrum of ideas and information. I was talking to Doc during the break, and I said, what else do you want to get into? And he said, well, Europe's going under, their currencies are imploding. We've got to talk about basically what we face economically and the fact that we need to point out who the big private bankers are who have got us into this situation, and they need to be punished criminally. They've committed crimes publicly. Even Rolling Stone had a big article that the Senate committee has found it was criminal, so start the indictments. Where are the indictments? Because if they get away with this, they can get away with even more. I think what you're talking about earlier with this criminal class is we're having to finance this political, inside crony capitalist class at the expense of all our liberties and our freedom, and that America is on a razor's edge, and that's why you as an insider are coming out.
Well, let me put it this way. I'm not coming out. I've always been out.
No, I know.
In terms of truth. And I've been more than happy to take down institutions, whether they're civilian, foreign. That's not an issue for me. That's my professional expertise, and I've done it in many organizations, restructured them. I save lives, and I work on changing lives. The real issue for us is to understand we do have criminals. These are the heads of Citigroup, where they received incredible amounts of money. The names are blank fine, who's the CEO of Goldman Sachs. You have Rubin, who was a consultant while the subprime came in and was our former Secretary of Treasury and received $75 million as he was a consultant to Citigroup while the subprime came in. And when he was asked what in fact happened, he said, I don't know, I wasn't involved. I mean, what nonsense. And we have a brilliant banking committee that did a brilliant job of writing up what happened. I mean, the SEC went in there, investigated. The financial committee, led by Peter Angelides, wrote a brilliant book, The Financial Crisis, in the inquiry report, and so did the Senate. And I think it's time for the American public to demand indictments. It's not as if we don't know where the crooks are. They're in Citigroup. They're in Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, Chase Manhattan. You have them in Wells Fargo. You have them in the mortgage companies. They're all listed here in the federal documents. The answer now is for your public to stop whining, stop complaining, and stop seeing conspiracies and worrying about whether Steve Pieczenik is going to get killed or not, because it's hard to spell his last name. Good God. I mean, I've had Noriega chase me, and he can't even spell it correctly every week. So the issue really to worry about is how do you get these people indicted so the future understands you cannot commit criminal acts, financial acts against the American public, no matter what your name is, and particularly if your name is Goldman Sachs. And this can't continue. So that's where the American public has to start. It has to say, give me back my money, whether it's GM and you have a man who's supporting the communist propaganda machinery, or whether it's Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, Chase Manhattan, and Wells Fargo, and other banks that have outrightly corrupted and admitted that they committed criminal acts, yet nobody has put them in prison because your politicians, the head of your Senate Finance Committee, the subcommittees on finance, are all funded by these guys. So unless the American public demands, through Twitter, protest, peacefully demands they be investigated and indicted, this will not happen. Now, let me tell you one thing. It is clear in the financial crisis report that the real heroes of a lot of this institution are the attorney generals of the different states, all of whom came in and said these federal rules and regulations are totally inappropriate to have national banks coming into state governments and created subprime mortgages.
Stay there.
And a lot of the attorney generals of the different states should be awarded for the fact that they stood up, including the Manhattan Attorney General. Now you have Cyrus Vance Jr. as an Attorney General in Manhattan. These people should be applauded for going after these criminals.
All right, stay there, Doc. Got a break. Very great points. We'll be right back after the break.
David J. Smith for Newswatch Magazine. Did you know that the United Nations is a Trojan horse and that the Secretary General of the United Nations has always been a socialist from the day that it was founded? Therefore, it can only bring about a one-world communist government. Do you realize that they will be in charge of all weaponry if the United States and every other nation turns over to it? Any nation that rebels, they will just send a nuclear weapon to bring it into subjection. We'd like to help you understand how these world events are going to affect you in the near future by offering you a one-year free subscription to Newswatch Magazine. Just call our toll-free number, 1-800-516-8736. That's 1-800-516-8736. Call now while operators are standing by.
America, you've been warned. For weeks, we've been warning you about a single event we believe will happen in the next 12 months that will shake the very foundations of our nation. We've told you about the video that details this shocking prediction. So far, over 6 million people have watched this free video online. Have you? Again, this big event has nothing to do with war or the stock market, yet it could change everything about your normal way of life. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your family. Could this really happen? Well, the man who created this video has been right about many predictions in his career. He was among the first to predict the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. If you haven't taken time to watch this free video, do it right now. You may never think about America the same way again. You can find the free video at endofamerica3.com. Again, that's www.endofamerica3.com. Watch the free video at endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com.
For centuries, silver has been used as a powerful natural antibiotic, and as a listener to this station, you probably already know the benefits of using colloidal silver. With so many websites to choose from, finding a reputable, patriotic company with great products at affordable prices can be a difficult task. Introducing utopiasilver.com. Utopiasilver.com carries the best, most effective, and most affordable colloidal silver and colloidal gold products in the industry. Utopiasilver.com also carries products to fit your lifestyle, including weight loss, immune system defense, cleanses, herbs, joint and bone care, and much more. First-time customers using promo code GCN50 will receive 50% off all colloidal products. Visit us today at Utopia Silver, that's UTOPIA Silver, utopiasilver.com, or call 888-213-4338. That's 888-213-4338. UtopiaSilver.com, taking back America's healthcare one American at a time.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
I was just talking to Dr. Steve Pieczenik about how we get this country back, states' rights, nullification. He was bringing up all these attorney generals trying to go after Obama with the carbon tax moves, trying to block that, going after Goldman Sachs and others for their criminal activities. I mean, trillions have been stolen, and the precedent cannot be allowed to stand that they're going to get away with this. Dr. Pieczenik, finish up with that point, and we're going to go to some phone calls.
I think Cornel West, who's a professor at Princeton, an African-American, said it best, that Obama is a black man representing the plutocracy and the money interests of Wall Street. And this is unacceptable. And he has to be held accountable. The guys on Wall Street have to go to prison. This is not a whether, if, or not. And I congratulate the Attorney Generals and the FBI and the various federal organizations that are cutting into this issue, the SEC, the new one, the Office of Controller, and other people who will go in and regulate them, but they have to go to prison. The Department of Justice is now has to get involved, as does the FBI. So I have great faith in the ability for us to hold people accountable. Let's go to the phones if you want.
Any other points on ideas to expose this kleptocracy, this banking kleptocracy?
Yeah, I mean, basically, you know, let's talk about AIG. What AIG was for? Selling insurance all over the world. In many ways, it was a cover for the CIA and operatives. And really, what does it do? It reinsures those people who have to have insurance or create financial instruments that don't exist. So you had this whole Ponzi scheme that's still in existence, where men like Geithner and Bernanke and others who really have never been in the world of real business, they've all been, quote, policy thinkers, which is something else we have to get rid of, because these are the welfare clients of the United States, these so-called think tanks in Washington. There's nothing more than an elaborate welfare system for people who have no jobs. And basically, we start to have to go back to devolution of federal power and getting back down to the state level and the county level, where we can start initiating tax-free zones, where we can start businesses and getting the American worker back in there, the mechanic, the truck driver who doesn't have to pay $5 a gallon in diesel, the librarian who can make a living, the teachers who make more than $23,000 versus the $68 million that a banker makes for nothing else than just processing paper. And the Wall Street Journal of newspapers say that he's indispensable, which is absurd. So the American public has to hold these people accountable, and once we do, we can go forward. But in the meantime, I think America will be turning around, because China's in trouble right now. Their interest rates are going up. The middle class is going up. Again, using Sina and Twitter, I think the Chinese public will attack the Chinese government. And I think the Chinese government has a very serious problem, and I've said it repeatedly, of trying to suppress 1.3 billion Chinese, and they have a serious water problem right now. They have a serious drought problem, and their money, unlike our own system, is based on social stability, where our system of capitalism is based on profit. The Chinese system is based on social stability, which means if they don't keep out loaning money, that is the Communist Party, they will have unrest, the likes of which they've never seen. And let me give you an idea. In a typical normal year under the Communist Party in China right now, a year ago, they had 75,000 riots for corruption. That's a normal year. Now you take a year like now, where you have increased interest rates, unemployment, where students are exceedingly smart in China and very well educated, more so than in many cases our own students, where they speak several languages, and there are no jobs for them. So the Chinese government has to be put on alert, saying, you're in trouble. You're in major trouble. If you want to expand to Pakistan, you want to expand all over the world, you've got bigger problems internally than anybody else has. And now it's our turn to remain a superpower by getting our forces out of Iraq, Afghanistan, and the Middle East, and start to work on redeploying our assets and our dollars transferred to civilian works, major structures for employment, not to get the banks out of trouble, but employment, real jobs, real people, and get the normal salaries that they deserve.
All right, let's go to phone calls. Good points there. Bill in Connecticut, you're on the air. Welcome.
Yes. Hi, Alex. Hi, Dr. Pieczenik.
Hi.
I have two points. First is, I don't know how we'll be able to resolve the financial mess when, as you said, we have this collusion between the politicians and the banks and even AIG. So you have the Federal Reserve giving money to both AIG and Goldman Sachs. And AIG was actually insuring Goldman Sachs' debts.
Yeah, no, AIG was the holding company to then break the money up on one hand, and then on the other hand, they were giving money directly. And then, of course, the Federal Reserve is just a holding company for Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan and a handful of others. And so it's just all one big mafia up there.
Well, I think what the gentleman's getting to, and I agree with you, is the only way I can see it is that we have to hold them. The report says it very clearly, even their own federal report, that we do have to put some people in prison, not the Bernie Madoffs only, and not the guys who are insider trading. That's a distraction. You're talking about the president, CEOs of AIG. You're talking about the president, CEOs of Goldman Sachs, of J.P. Morgan. Once they're in prison, they're going to understand that this is not just a game where you can fool the public, and then you're going to have to put some of the your congressmen and senators like Dodd, Barney Frank held accountable, Max Baucus, all of these men who've been funded by AI